on our tour of St. Mary's La Prairie Cemetery. Reverend Garrick, born in 1848, he was one of the earliest settlers to the Portage La Prairie town. But the one thing that he left us that's been important is that he wrote a few books, and those books have become important source materials for understanding what happened in Manitoba as the first waves of immigrants came in, and especially for Portage La Prairie. So yeah, AC Garrett. We're talking the 1850s. So this is before Manitoba was even a province. And again, this predates treaties. So the people that were living here had entered into agreements with the first peoples that were here in order to set up a community. There's a great view over here I want to show you. There are three families that were major city businesses, and they're all here in one spot. And if you get your camera in the right position, we should be able to capture all three families. So from right to left, we have the Garland, you can see, and then the Cadam, and then the Newman. And those were the three probably largest businesses operating in Portage La Prairie. And it's just interesting that, they were influential in our town in their day, and now they're all their final resting places together here at St. Mary's Cemetery. A couple things I remember is that Newman, he was instrumental in building Victoria School. The school board at that time couldn't secure a loan, so he personally secured the loan for them. Cadams, I remember they famously had a store in downtown Portage that was visited by Clark Gable. When Clark Gable came to hunt at Delta, apparently he stopped at Cadam's store. Later on, some girls went, he stayed overnight, I guess, in Portage, and two of the Cadam girls went and knocked on his window, and he came out and he gave each of them a peck on the cheek, which gave them a story to tell for the rest of their days.
He stayed at the Leland Hotel on the corner of 2nd Street, just by St. Mary's Church. Well, it's a midtown hotel. That was the Leland. And he came because he was going duck shooting. Clark Gable. He was going to go duck shooting at Delta, which is already going. And for some reason, I guess he needs shotgun shells, so he went over the avenue to Cadams. Cadams was the hardware store where if somebody mentioned Cadams with Clark Gable, that's why he went across the street. And Clark Gable was supposed to have brought Carol Lombard with him. That's just the kind of thing Clark Gable would do.
Garland, William Garland, in addition to owning a store in Portage La Prairie, he was a town councillor, but he was also elected 6 times as mayor of Portage La Prairie, which is a significant achievement. So the Garland family, very instrumental. I've got a photo of the church, but it was done years after it came down. We don't exactly know the specific spot where the church is. We're assuming it's in here, right? Because they would have put, those are the earliest headstones, so they would have presumably been close to the church. But they later disassembled the church, and I believe that that's the home now that's on Portage Avenue, on the near the Crescent. The timbers from that were moved from here to build that house. But, simply because the wood in it would date back to presumably the 1850s, which would be old by pretty much any standard in Manitoba. Yeah, so let's go over here. Uh, this is the final resting place of J.J. Setter, who was very important in the early establishment of Portage Prairie. He was our town sheriff, but he also had an important role to play when we established a hospital in Portage Prairie in the late 1880s. Is one like Recorgo is interesting too, though, because if you look at it, he was born. I was trying to find some of the earliest graves. So if you look at this person, they were born in what was it, 1796, right? So born in the end of the 18th century, which is pretty old.